right, everybody. Welcome to the Team Huddle. I'm excited. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Greg Birch. He's going to talk about how he issued $190,000 in simplified issue life premium in the month of April. Now, that's never been done before. So that's pretty spectacular. And we're going to get down to exactly, how, what, when, and all the details of how he did it. That's a great question. How far apart do you set appointments? Do you set with an arrival time window period? I'll make sure I ask that, Ron Tolles. Make sure I ask that. If you guys have any questions for Greg, put it in the Q&A. But what I want to do before we get into it is I do want to do some recognition. So let's talk about this week, because for Family First Life Coast to Coast this week, we actually did really, really good. This is our best submit week of all time. Before we get into that, though, issue paid numbers through week 2. We are at 1.115556, $1,115,556 issue paid through the second week of May. 278 riders. Our top 25 riders are Zachary A, 9,949, Daniel M, 9,959, Cynthia P, 10,260, Austin K, good job, Austin, 10,372, Michael F, 10,388, Cynthia K, 10,496, Kevin V, brand new agent, 10,838, Crystal R, 13,908, Ginger L, 14,110, Kate, 14,306, Ronald Isaac, 14,832, Brandon Kitchings, 15,469, Matt Goodrich, 15,710, Daniel B, I don't know which Daniel that is, but 15,000, oh, that's Danny Jones. All right, 15,760, Derry B, 15,889, Greg B, 15,890, Derek S, 16,281, Jonathan A, 17,699, Shannon G, 18,793, 2 weeks in. Good job, Shannon. Robert K, 19,735. Colton D, 2 weeks in, 21,377. Zeke T, 2 weeks in, 23,416. Mac A, 24,944. Ali K, 25,730. And Don S is still in the lead, 28,847. Good job, Don. Our submit numbers for the week were great. We did first week over $1 million submitted as a team in a week. That's amazing. Good job, everybody. We had 15 new riders this week. I'll read the top 25. Lotta M, $9,008. Patrice T, 12 apps for $9,178. Patrice moved to a brand new place and went out there and wrote 10K for the week. Good job, Patrice. Kelly Ingram, 6 applications for $9,250. Colton D, 8 applications, $10,900. Michael F, 7 applications for $12,004. Rob K, 12 applications for $12,108. Rob B, 9 applications for $13,550. Sadella M, 6 applications for $15,122. I hope I said your name right. Sadella. Ginger L, 10 applications, $15,145. JS, 9 applications, $15,306. David C, 15 applications, $15,665. Robert M, 7 apps for $16,144. Doug V, very first week, 14 applications, $16,833. Greg B, 9 applications for $17,062. Noah R, 2 applications for $17,456. Mac A, 9 apps for $17,543. John A, 10 applications for $18,139. Got to spend some time with John in Chicago. That was awesome. Ali K, 17 applications for $20,420. Brandon K, 9 applications, $20,491. Zeke T, 17 applications for $21,111.24. Ray M, 1 app and annuity for $30,045. Sharice F, 1 app and an annuity for $35,000. Good to have you back, Sharice. Don S, 3 applications and 5 annuities for $39,607. Chris G, 6 applications for $54,049. Got to spend some time with Chris in Chicago as well. And Derek S, 5 applications and 4 annuities for $65,556. Now, what's crazy is, let me look at this. There are like 6 people in the top 25 that ran business all week in Chicago. A couple of them lived there. The rest of them traveled there to do it. And, there's still 1,000 instant internet leads every day that end up not getting sold there. So people are going to Chicago just to run instant internet leads, and they're having a lot of success. As a matter of fact, Derek wrote a $630,000 annuity off an $11 lead. That is phenomenal. Good job, Derek. All right, so top agencies over 100K for the week. FFL Financial Freedom had 27 riders. They did 102,555. FFL Cornerstone, 17 riders for 107,377. FFL Provide, 10 riders for 124,284. FFL Persevere had 50 riders with 182,706. FFL Paradise had 31 riders for 195,690. FFL Skypoint is a record, 317,535 with 75 riders, which is also a record. And this might be a record for FFL Freedom. Joseph Miller might be a record as well. 490,552 with 94 riders. Good job, everybody. 1,013,826 with 204 riders in the agency for the week. Not a bad week. New riders. Now, this is the most important slide to read every week. The goal is, if you're on the slide, just make sure that you write next week. The goal is to never roll a zero. Make sure you're writing business every single week. Don't worry about who's writing 10,000, who's writing 5,000, who's writing 50,000. None of that matters as much as if you wrote this week, just get on the leaderboard again next week. Consistency over time is really what wins the race. If you could do it once, you could do it again. Doug V wrote $16,833 his very first week off of leads. If you do that once, you can do it again. But by golly, don't roll a zero next week. You don't do 16,000 one week and then roll zero the next week. You don't do 529 like Audra M one week and then not do anything the next week. So the goal is to make sure you're on the leaderboard every single week. So Audra M, 529. Gary A with FFL Paradise, first time rider, $720. Rhonda C, FFL Prolific, $772. Dominique D, FFL Marathon, $854.76. Stephanie G with FFL Frontline, $1,002. Antonio M, FFL Marathon, $1,025. Jacob S, FFL Breakthrough, $1,040. I love everybody's logo, but I really like the Breakthrough and it's really cool. Terrell E, $1,263. And that is Pablo's team, which is Fortitude, I believe. Josh L, Family First Life Coast to Coast, 1,287. Mafaro M, new rider with Prolific, 1,440. Delia S, 1,761. Cecilia B with FFL Skypoint, 1,932. Cameron F, 2,376, first time rider with FFL Breakthrough. FFL Marathon Anna R, 3,760. And Doug V with FFL Connect, 16,833 and 72 cents, his very first week in the business. Good job, Doug. And Doug came from a Craigslist ad, by the way. So if y'all ain't running Craigslist ads, you should still run Craigslist ads. They still work. Greg Birch, today is our special guest. I'm going to bring Greg on here. Let's see what we got. Greg Birch. Make Greg a panelist. Really proud of Greg. He's doing some really big things. Team is growing like a weed. And he is breaking records left and right. That is an all-time record, what Greg was able to accomplish in the month of April. And so that's really exciting. Here I am. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. How do you stop sharing? All right, here I am. Okay, so let me introduce you guys to Greg, for those that don't know. So Greg's been around a while. His very first year in FFL, he hit Hall of Fame. His second year, he missed Hall of Fame. Then he got serious at the convention. He's like, I can't ever miss that again. He's like, I'm going to hit Hall of Fame in a month. Dang near did it. So he goes out. He issues $190,000 on his own pen, all simplified issue life business. Not all one lead type, runs several different types of leads. He'll talk about that. And he's just having a lot of success, and he's helped a lot of other people get out of the gate really quickly, like Doug B and Kevin and different people that just get right out of the gate, light them on fire, and they go. And so he's doing something right. Like his edge is super sharp, guys. Like somebody asked me the other day, like, what do I do in this situation? What do I do when they say this? I don't know. Ask Greg. Like he got that 12 times yesterday because he runs like 10 appointments 7 days a week, every single day, 10 to 12. That's how he did it. I don't want to take the whole thunder of how he did it, but that's how he did it. So, Greg, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Sherry. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Well, I don't want to necessarily interview you. I think I should just let you talk. Pretty much anything you can talk about would be good. But I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, kind of what was the story and how did you get the idea that you were going to go out and break this record? I think the closest anybody's ever come to this was maybe 130 in a month. And this wasn't like a $13 million annuity or something. Like this was all life business that you wrote with, mostly Americo that issued like the same day. How'd you go about it? What are some of the things? If people wanted to replicate what you did, what would they have to do?
So, what I usually tell people, and for those of you that have watched me talk, I've talked in a couple of Zooms. I'm gonna try to add some extra stuff, but I'm gonna, repeat the same thing. It's mindset. This really does all have to do with your mindset and getting your mind right. My mindset last year was wrong. It wasn't where it was supposed to be. I got lazy, to be honest. I felt that I knew the system so well, I could kind of rest on my laurels. And when everything was said and done at the end of the year, when I looked back, I was like, man, I didn't hit where I wanted to hit, not with my team, not individually. And so I just started getting serious. And there was a lot of things that I did. I felt that there was a convergence of, just multiple activities that doing them had helped every area of my life. So one of the things that I did was I started going to church every single week. I don't want to make this a religious discussion, but I do believe that you're feeding your spiritual side is important in terms of just being productive and successful as a whole, as a human being. So started reading scripture, started doing Bible study. And what that did was I had to start scheduling it in order to still do my day, because I was just like, it became a non-negotiable that I was going to do those things. And so when I started scheduling that stuff in, I started to take more control of my schedule and just be very conscious of it. And then on top of that, what it did was it allowed me, last year I had some personal problems and I had a lot of stuff going on. And I just said this year I was going to work on myself and move forward and try to improve myself in every way I could. So that started with the spiritual side, going to church, stuff like that. But I don't know, one day in church, I was sitting there and I just felt the Spirit tell me to start repenting for things I'd done. And what I realized is that it's not that I'm a bad person. In my heart, I'm a good person, but I've done things in my life that were not indicative of a good person. And so I just took accountability of it. And I started to repent for like years back, and it's very cathartic. It's just lifting. It's like lifting a weight off of my shoulders. And what that did for me was it kind of allowed me to let that stuff go and then realize and acknowledge it and say, I can do better. And so start to work towards doing things that were more in line with the person that I wanted to be and who I was. So after doing that, I went to conference, and that was the next part where I took accountability, was where I sat in conference and I saw all these people that were getting success and getting accolades. And I was just upset. I was pissed off. I was, man, last year I was at Hall of Fame. I hit VP my first year. I should be at least an EVP now. I should have hit board member. I could have, people were come on, Dave Witcher coming on board in last year, and making from individual to board member 1 year. And I went backwards. So I was like, man, what is wrong with me? And I realized by being upset, I was upset at myself. I just took accountability for it. I was like, yeah, this is on me. This is my fault. I need to better this self. And so I reached out to Andrew and said, hey, I'm pissed off, but I'm pissed off at myself. And this is what I'm going to do this year. First and foremost, I'm going to write 100K in a month because it's been done before and I know I can do it. And I want to be a part of that club. But secondly, I'm going to hit board member this year. And so I'm telling you these things because I want to put it out there so that I'm held accountable, and I want you to help me accountable. And if I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, then tell me and I will do them, if I'm messing up. And so he was like, hey man, let's go, let's do this. Get on board. So, and I think that was kind of a powerful moment. Right after that is, I talk to people all the time. I did 75 hard. I'm doing live hard right now, which kind of sucks, but 75 hard, for those of you that follow me at all and social media or seen it, it's not a physical fitness program. It's actually a mental toughness program. And the physical fitness aspect of it is just a nice kind of addition and bonus. But what it really does is you're doing the same actions every single day, and it's very tedious, very tiresome. And you have to control your schedule to do them. And almost always there will things in your life will pop up that almost prevent you from being able to do them on the same schedule, but you still have to get the job done. So like there were days when I had to do appointments, and I was just booked with appointments, and I have to do 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside. Each of them had to be 45 minutes. And I was outside running at 10:30 at night doing my run just because I had to. And it sucked, but there was something mentally challenging about it, but it's still accepting the challenge. Like, no matter what, I'm going to get the job done. And when you kind of turn that corner and you accept it, and no matter what, you're gonna get the job done. Dialing on a Monday doesn't seem that hard anymore. Like the mental aspect of doing things that we have to do gets so much easier because in your mind, it's so. The way I think the easiest way to put it is discipline is keeping the promises that you make to yourself. So when you say, I'm going to do this, you actually do it. And when that happens time and time again, you build this mental toughness where you start to believe in yourself so greatly that you're like, man, I can do anything. And like, you start to like just put more challenges in front of you just to see what you can accomplish. And that's what I did it was like just this convergence of all these things, like going to church and reading scriptures, which I like. Anything that you can learn from any book, you can learn from the Bible. What's old is new is what I tell a buddy of mine. We have discussions about this, but almost every single leadership lesson is in the Bible. And so you can learn a lot if you just do some scripture study. But doing that and then going to conference and then starting 75 hard, it just seemed natural and right. So I was like, I'm gonna do 75 hard. Started it, was doing it in February. And it was by the end of March, I was halfway through 75 hard. And I was like, I'm starting to get momentum. And the challenge came about like, hey, $100,000 challenge. If you don't do it, if you take the challenge, and you make it 5,000, you make $5,000. Andrew said he'd pay us. And if you don't make it, then we pay Andrew. And I was like, man, that is accountability right there. So and it just clicked. It was like, this is it. I already told Andrew I was going to do it. Why not do it? Take the challenge. And so I did. And I was like, yep, let's do it. And it was about 2 days after I said yes to it. For 2 days, my brain's kind of mulling over, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to increase my lead flow and get the amount of appointments I need in order to go from my largest month previously, like 55K, basically double it. And the more I thought about it, I was just like, man, I can actually do more. Like I could do, and I'm like thinking about my ratios because I know my numbers really well by now. So I'm like, man, if I do sit with X amount of people, make X amount of appointments, my sale ratio is this, my average sale per home is 2,000. So I can if I sat with 25 people a week, I can get just about 50K each week. And I was like, I think I can do 200,000. And it just kind of like just dawned on me like lightning struck. And I was like, no one's ever done that before. And I was like, that's it. That's the challenge. So I think what's important upon when it comes to successful people and people that you look at any industry, sports, Fortune 500 companies, CEOs, stuff like that. People that are very like uber successful, they commit to things before you even figure out all the details. They just say yes. They're very positive people. They commit to things. This is like, hey, we're gonna do this X thing that no one's ever done. We're gonna do it faster than anyone's ever done it. And here's our timeline, 12 months. And it's like, it's gonna take us 2 years to do it. It's like, we're gonna do it in 12 months. And it's just like, we'll figure out everything. It's just like drive forward, do it ferociously, and figure out the details as you go. And that's what I did. And so kind of like my idol in the military was General George Patton, and the saying is that he'd rather execute a decision, 70% decision violently than 100% decision executed late. So that's what I did. And I came to you, Trey, and I went to Andrew and said, hey, I want to break a record. I'm going to do 200,000, but I need help. And I was like, I need leads. I need a lot of leads. So I'm willing to go places. Just tell me, like, how can I get the support? Like, I'm going to need to set X amount of appointments and I got to be on the go. And so, and you guys helped me. So, I committed to it. I asked for help. I reached up and asked for help. And also by doing that, I also made myself accountable because I had to constantly, move towards that goal. Cause now I've already put it out there like, hey, I'm doing this. So, and I think the last thing I did was as soon as I got home after I took the challenge to say I'm gonna do 100K, I went home and I wrote an affirmation. It's on my, actually I have them. I'm going to frame it actually. In April 2021, I'm going to issue pay 100,000, no exceptions. And I wrote it, a Sharpie, put it on my fridge and I saw it. And then I also, on top of that, during this time, part of 75 Hard is you have to read. And so one of the first books I read was Think and Grow Rich. And there's an exercise in the very beginning of the book where it tells you to write out what you want to make, what you want to earn. And then you have to write out, what, in order to get that, when you're going to get it, what you have to give up to get it, and then what you're going to do in order to get it. So, because you can't get something for nothing, you're going to have to remove excess from your life in order to go to where you want to go. But then also you got to do extra things with that time that you bought from excess. So I wrote out, hey, in April 2021, I issue paid $100,000. And I wrote it as if I did it already. I issue paid $100,000 in April 2021. I did it by giving up these things. I gave up video games. I gave up TV. I gave up drinking, which I already wasn't drinking, but it's still like, hey, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to party. I'm not going to date. I'm not going to see any women, because I'm single. So I ended up saying, this is what I'm giving up. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to increase my lead flow. I have to set a minimum. My mindset was I have to set a minimum of 50 appointments. So I have to set a minimum of 50 appointments each week. I have to increase my lead flow to do that. I'm going to have to spend X amount of extra money per month or per week to do that. But I'm also going to be very intentional about the people that I sit with, because I'm the best person to help them. I'm the best person, the best advisor and I'm going to take care of families. I'm going to always put families first. And I'm going to do all things through him, because only through the Lord am I able to accomplish these things. And then I'd read that every morning, drop down on my knees, say a prayer, read it every night before I went to bed, drop down on my knees, say a prayer. And it's kind of like the affirmations. So I did that. I started to get very intentional about those kinds of things. So that's kind of how this came about. It was like, it was just like a happenstance of all these different factors of my life that kind of like came together, and 190K was written. So long story short, Trey, if that makes sense.
Well, and if you saw me keep getting up, I don't think everybody else can see me. I was looking for a pen. I was like, I gotta write this stuff down. So I put some notes on my whiteboard right there. But you said some interesting things, asking for forgiveness and repentance. So that was cathartic. What I think about a lot is a lot of people carry around a lot of baggage they don't need to carry around.
Yeah.
And that's something that most people overlook when they try to take on a challenge. The other thing I appreciate about what you said was you were open for a challenge. Lots of people want to be challenged, but they don't want to be held accountable. So it was really neat to watch you go through this process, because dude, you fired me up. Like, I wake up at 5 a.m, Greg's on the phone. Hey, here's where I'm at. This is what's going on. I think I could do this. And dude, it was just so refreshing. Like, it really was. And you've inspired a lot of people. And for those that don't know Greg, his team is exploding, and Greg cares more about his team than anybody I know. Like, he wants everybody to write 200K. Financially, how did that change your life doing that one?
Oh, man. It changed a lot of things. So one, I paid off I had some debts that I still had. This kind of lingering that I'm slowly paying off. I just wiped them. I just paid them off. And then I started looking at like I threw almost everything. I still have a lot of money that I made, but I started throwing way more back in the business. I spent a lot on recruiting now. I hired a new staff member, about to hire another one. I'm creating like all this different stuff that I'm putting it back in the business. I'm like, well, now I can pour back in even more. I didn't go off, like a part of me, like I really want to buy a Tesla. I've wanted a Tesla for a long time. And I was like, dude, I have enough money to go buy a Tesla. And I was like, no, not yet. Like, no, you need to focus on the business. So a part of it is like, oh, I get it. And I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. No, like, you can get a staff member. You can do this, you can do that. And so I held back. So I ended up getting a Roomba. That's what I got. No joke. It's pretty cool too.
There you go.
So
that's that's technological.
Yeah.
That's a robot. It's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I have a dog, and so it's always a pain to go ahead. Oh, I was just kind of going off on a tangent, which is not important. So go ahead.
Oh, I totally get it. Aruba is a good deal. But what I think I was trying to say was like, dude, you're so structured and just all about it, type A. But what I was getting from when you started that conversation is like last year you weren't that way. Like, no. What did it look like before you got the structure? You just play Call of Duty all day, or what was going
on? No, I didn't. I didn't really play video games. I mean, I do. I like playing video games. I play video games with my kids all the time, but I didn't last month. Man, I don't know who all is on here or who knows me. So, to be honest, like I would go out drinking a lot. You know, I would date people and like spend time doing things that didn't feed, you know, myself spiritually, physically, mentally, or emotionally. Kevin's got jokes. Kevin's got jokes. So I'm really much like, I love talking to people. I'm a relationship person in terms of like building relationships with people, with friends, family, loved ones. And so I would, you know, if I would get into a relationship or I date somebody, I would just focus so much on that I would like let go of what I had to do. And I would almost sacrifice the business or stuff like that in order to spend time with the person. Whether it's a friend, loved one, family member. And I would just like it, cause it feeds me. Like I'm as extroverted as they come. And if you know, I think the simplest way to put it for extroverted to introverted is, you know, Simon Sinek says, think about coins. You know, every single person that's introverted wakes up and they have 5 coins, and every single time they have a social period and during the day, they give up a coin. And the goal of an introverted person is to go to sleep not in a deficit. Either they have coins or they're break even. If they go beyond that, then it bugs them, like it like drains them. Whereas an extroverted person wakes up with 0 coins, and their goal is to like end the day with as many coins as possible, and it just feeds them. And so that's me. Like I'm just like coin, and I would rather sit there and talk to people and like feed that side, that I would literally let the business kind of suffer in terms of like, you know, I don't need to set an appointment. Then I'm going to be with this person. I'm going to do that, you know, whatever. And I just got rid of that. I just said, you know what, this is more important. And so I think doing that though, what I will say for the team is like, as a agency owner, I think that the structure that I showed and like the change, it inspired a lot of the team, because there wasn't, you know, I didn't get a bunch of whole brand new writers in April, but just for numbers sake, in March, as a team, we did 92,000, and that's with me. And then without me, without my numbers, my team did over 150 in April. And so they did like 160. So just that they almost tripled, because they saw how serious I got. And then I was just very tuned in, but also I didn't want to do that and then neglect the team. So I just had candid conversations with everybody. It's like, hey, look, I'm doing this challenge. I would go on team meetings, say, hey, I'm doing this challenge. This is what it's going to look like for me. I'm still going to do these meetings. We're still going to be here. But if you guys reach out to me, if I can't answer the phone, I'll let you know. I'll text you. And if we can text back and forth if I'm with the client, and I'll text you answers. If you have questions about, medications or whatever, I'll still text you. But if I can't answer the phone, I can't answer the phone. And then, another, what I really wanted was more people to kind of step in, like, hey, I can take calls too. I can take calls too, and inspire others to kind of take that leadership role. And so, and it worked, and a lot of people did. And so, it was just amazing that we came together more as a team, and it just inspired people to, they saw how much I was writing and what I was doing, but still part of the team. And I didn't neglect those activities, that it just inspired other people to move and produce more. So,
well, another one of the things that you said was, you had a goal, but it was like what Patton said, a plan violently executed 70% late or early or what. Yeah, it's better than a plan perfect that's too late. And so what I saw you do is just take massive action. And as far as the lead flow goes, you were doing, like, people think, well, he must have just been running all those good mortgage protection leads. Dude, you sold so many Facebook leads.
Yes, I sold a lot of Facebook leads.
Remarkable. Yeah. I mean, it really was. And you were getting this connection. You did a Facebook lead. You found out these people are in the military. You were in the military. Half the stories I heard from you came from that. So it was a lot of final expense, Somebody did ask how close together did you write the appointments? And people want to know, like, 50 appointments a week, and your plan was to sit with 25. I think a lot of people, they think if they set 27, they're going to sit with 25. And you were setting up that you were building forgiveness into your schedule, right?
Yes. Yeah. I automatically was assuming that the more that if I'm setting that max amount, I have to put them every hour on the hour. Okay. And then putting them every hour on the hour, that there's going to be people that fall through the cracks. So I'm going to sit with the people that I can, and I'm going to sit with probably about half of appointments every single day. But then I'm going to make it very intentional while I sit there. I'm going to give them, my all. But at the same time, like, I sat with people there. I mean, there's a lot of failure there. I sat with a lot of people I didn't write. But I just learned to realize early on, like, I'm in an application 7 minutes in. I've got the application up, and I'm telling them, hey, we're going to see if we can get you approved with Americo, blah, 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 and just jumping into it. I didn't waste a lot of time. If I didn't have that kind of intentionality when I was in the home, I wasn't going to be able to write and, like, book my appointments so close. So,
show me what that looks like. I'm 55 years old. I take blood pressure medicine. Like, how do you get to an app that quick?
So basically what I do is, like, hey, Trey, my name's Greg. And just to introduce myself, I'm the advisor that's been assigned to you to help you out with that life insurance request that you put in. So my job's real simple today, Trey. I'm just going to have a quick conversation with you. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to get to know you. I'm going to see what you're looking for, see what's most important to you. But most importantly, I'm going to see what you can be approved for. I'm going to take all those factors. I'm going to come up with a couple of options, and hopefully I find one that makes sense for you. And if I do, then I'm going to be your advisor moving forward, and we're going to see if we can get you approved today. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, Trey, what motivated you to fill out that form when you're online?
Well, my dad died when he was 51. He didn't have any insurance.
And so, your dad died when he was 51?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
That was in 2007.
2007. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. That was in 2006. Yeah,
2006. 2006. Okay. And what other insurances have you had since 2006 or since then?
I used to have a term that I got at my bank. It was for $100,000, but the cost up on me, so I ended up go.
Okay. And how long have you been looking for this kind of coverage?
I've been really looking for it for a couple years now.
Yeah. And what happened a couple years ago that motivated you to start looking?
Just, they put me on this blood pressure medication, and I thought, I'm not going to be healthy forever. And so I got kids, and just make sure they're taken care of, and, and a lot of my income and a lot of that stuff, really. I just thought it was about time to take care of it.
Okay. Now, what's prevented you from getting this coverage since you started looking?
Uh, I don't know. I don't think I've met the right person, or maybe um, I don't really know what's preventing me from it. I think about it and then I put it off, procrastinate a lot. Um, I'm afraid people won't approve me because of my weight.
Mm.
Um, that's about it.
Okay. Okay. And and Trey, what do you said you mentioned high blood pressure. Do you take medications for any other conditions?
Nope, no.
Okay. Have you had any major conditions in the past? I'm talking heart attack, strokes, cancer, anything crazy in the past that maybe you don't take medication for anymore?
I had Bell's palsy a few years ago, so
Okay.
my got paralyzed.
Okay. Okay.
Now that's
So perfect. So Trey, if just to make sure I understand this correctly, I'm gonna run through this just to make sure that I understand what you're telling me. So it sounds to me that you started looking a couple years ago because you got high blood pressure
yeah,
and you were reminded about when your dad passed away back in 2006 and he didn't have any coverage. And it kind of shook you out of apathy a little bit. You're like, man, he didn't have it. You knew what it was firsthand, and you don't want that to happen to your kids. So you've been looking for a little bit. Now you've talked to some advisors, it sounds like, but you haven't found the right person that got you the plan that made sense to you.
yeah,
Now you're also looking to make sure that you get a plan that can cover you. You're afraid about getting charged extra because of your health conditions and because of your weight. And so what you're looking for is a plan that's going to be level, that doesn't increase on you. You mentioned having an increasing term before. And you also want to make sure that it's going to start day one. It's going to cover you the day you pass away. Is all that about right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
So Trey, um, just to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name's Greg, like I said, but my expertise is helping people just like you, people that are in their retirement ages, people that are starting to have health issues, like you have your high blood pressures came up, people that may have weight issues, but they're looking for coverage that's not going to be astronomical, and that's literally my specialty. So you're in very good hands. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to see. I have a lot of companies I work with. We're going to see if they can even approve you. Okay. So the first thing that we'll do is an MIB check. It's going to check what's called your Medical Information Bureau. What that is a compilation of all your prescription history in the cloud. And they'll come back and they'll say, yeah, we think we can approve you. And then from there, we'll ask some medical questions. We'll go over some different plans and options. Or it'll come back and say, no, we can't approve you. But that doesn't tell me what other companies to go to. Does that make sense?
And I would know that today.
So yeah, we're going to find out today, right now.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So, all right. So Trey, what's your middle initial?
It's W.
Do you see what so I just boom in the app.
Nice, dude. Like, I actually had no intention of like conversing with you, right? Like
It's all about the questions that you ask.
Yeah.
And asking very, very good what, how, and never why. You never want to ask why. Why is accusatory to a client, unless you're asking why towards yourself. But what and how questions, or even like who. But if you notice, I said I always ask the same questions. What motivated you to fill out that form? And you gave me a lot. So you were like, hey, my dad died. So I started, so, hey, how long ago did that happen? You told me. Okay. How long have you been looking for this kind of coverage? Well, about 2 years. So now there's a gap between how long you've been looking and between when that happened. Okay. So what other coverages did you have? So I'm painting the picture for myself, but also based on what you're telling me, what other coverage you have? Oh, I had this term, blah, blah, blah. So you're giving me all the information that I need in order to sell what I need to sell. Then it's like, hey, in the past 2 years, what happened 2 years ago that got you looking? Oh, well, I got diagnosed with high blood pressure and I started getting sick and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what's prevented you? Like what's prevented you from actually getting coverage in the last 2 years? Like you've been looking, but you haven't got it. And that could be like, most people are like, I haven't found a price that's right. I've been talking to people, but nothing really made sense to me. But that's where they're going to tell me like, what's their no-go zone, and so what I'm doing is painting this whole picture, and then I repeat everything back to you in my own words, and I tell your story by what I just heard, but that just builds empathy. Like, hey, I understand your situation, and I'm making deposits into you as a client, so where I can very quickly start to make withdrawals and say, hey, this is my expertise. My expertise is helping people just like you. It doesn't matter what their situation is, but my expertise is helping people just like you, whatever your situation is, X, Y, or Z. And then this is what we're going to do. We're going to see if we can get you approved, and they're going to do a prescription history check, but that's going to tell me where to go. So let's do this quick check. We'll see what they say. And if they say, yep, we're going to go with our platinum partner. And if it comes through and they say no all medical questions, fantastic. You actually are pre-approved with our platinum partner, Americo. And Americo recommends that for, if you're just doing a burial, they recommend at your age to do $15,000 coverage for this amount. The max that they can get for you if you want to leave a little bit extra, and also just build in a buffer in case you live for the next 30 years. And as funerals get more expensive, 30,000 is the max, and it would be this much. Which one, like if you passed away tomorrow, Trey, and by this time I would have already had your beneficiary, would have talked about that. And I'd been like, hey, Trey, based on that, let's say you passed away tomorrow. Would you want your beneficiary? Would you want, Jeray to get, $30,000 check sent to her? Or do you want her to get a $15,000 check? And I just let you tell me. But it's just very assumptive.
Well, me and you had met with Sean, and Sean said that. He goes, the one thing I know about Greg is he is presumptive and he is assumptive in the home. You know why? Because he sells a lot of insurance. That's what he said. And dude, that is the most presumptive, assumptive way I've really seen anybody go about this. Somebody had a question. So say I had pushback. I just want to know the price. I just want to see how much it was. I saw a couple of those pop up. You could probably pull up some of these questions from the chat, right, Greg?
I don't see.
I want to know how much it costs. That's all. I was just interested in how much it would cost.
So if someone's like, if I'm like, hey, what motivated you? That's when they would say it.
Yeah.
And that there's multiple things. I'll be like, hey, that's perfect. That's perfect. How long have you been looking for? I've been looking for 2. So you've been trying to get a price for 2 years. And what other advisors have you talked to? Well, I talked to this guy from State Farm. He blah, 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 and he had this. Okay, perfect. What prevented you from moving forward with them?
Nice.
I didn't say, why didn't you do it? I said, what? So I'm putting, something, there's something else that we're blaming. Not you. So
not why are you looking? What motivated you to look now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not, and then
it's all about the way you ask the questions. And so I still no matter what, it's all going to be this. It's almost the same direct line of questioning, because it always will come back to, just through asking the questions like that, it'll always come back to hey man, I really do need this. I've been looking for 2 years. So-and-so died 3 years ago, and I really got me looking, and blah, blah. And no matter what, I'm going to pull those out from those questions. And then I'm going to roll it up. And the roll up, I'm going to be like, hey man, so it sounds to me, Trey, that the reason we're meeting is because, 2 years ago, your best friend passed away and he didn't have any coverage. And that actually, you saw the impact that did to his family. You've been looking for since then, and you haven't found the right price. Price is important to you, and you haven't found that right amount, but also the value that makes sense to where you get a policy that starts right away and pays out your family day one. And you're concerned because you have these health conditions, blah, 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 blah. Does that all about right? And you're like, yeah, that's right. You understand me. And I'm like, oh, you're right. My expertise is helping people just like you, people trying to find the best possible price. Americo. Price is an illusion. So if you go in thinking this is going to be too expensive for them, it's going to be too expensive for them. Because part of the thing is that they're also getting it for you. They're buying you as an advisor. And I tell people that all the time. Hey, know what else comes with this policy? Me. And the way I'm fighting for you to get the policy and fighting for your family, I'm going to keep doing that for the next 20, 30, whatever years. But you're buying me too. And my job doesn't end today. You're stuck with me. So and then they laugh about it. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. You're stuck with me. So.
That's great. Okay. So, if you don't sell it, how does it typically end?
Usually it's the awkward, I've pushed through so many objections and it's just getting real awkward. And so there's sometimes when there's certain things that happen and you're just I'm just this ain't happening. Like, I just know I'm wasting my time here. This person's too old. They got so much extra stuff in place. And like, all I can get them is maybe like an AIG policy or something. But like, I'm not going to waste my time. Hey, I can't help you. It sounds like you got a lot in place. I'm out. Like, you don't need to sign up for any
because you're getting to the and you're getting to the MIB so quick, you know that fast. Like, do you get resistance on the appointments before you start running the prescription check, and then you're just like, all right, well, is there anything else I can do before I leave? Or like,
no, I once I used to think that like if I had to build all this like rapport before I ask somebody their social, and I don't. Like, and honestly, the people in the home, they don't like, don't waste your time showing them a whole booklet of like, here's my state license and here's my family picture and here's this. Like, they don't care. They honestly don't care. They know you're licensed. You're sitting in their home. So don't even worry about that. Right. You know, you've gotten past that point. Just move forward, get to the point, turn the TV off. Hey, this is what we're doing today. Is that fair? Is that fair? Yep. Okay. Let's go. And just go and ask the questions, get to work. I don't care about what's on the wall. I don't care about family pictures. I don't care about, because it just doesn't matter. That's not why I'm there. So when I just took that approach and I just got straight to business, like I really did take the approach of like, hey, I'm a doctor. And I really did have a lot of other appointments to sit with. So it was easier for me to do it. But I was like, yeah, I don't got time to sit here and go back and forth. Like, sometimes I would just throw out a couple. If they gave me some objections, I would just be like, hey, look, we're doing this today. Like, you knew it was going to be expensive coming into it. Everyone's over budget. I'm over budget. No one goes around. This is America. You're like, everyone's over budget. We're doing this today.
Right.
So like, and they're like, all right, here's my account number.
Right.
So
$119. I'm not going to die. It's okay. Like,
I
figured it out.
So what it looked like was either 9 times out of 10, when I was walking out of a home, it was because I saw the road ahead and I was like, I can only get like maybe this carrier. It's only going to be this much coverage. It doesn't really make sense for their situation based on what they already have in place or whatever. Like, I'm not wasting my time or theirs. And I was like, hey, look, I don't think I really have anything for you. So, Robert, out of 190K, how much in chargebacks? I've only had 3 policies cancel from last month, or actually 2 policies canceled. There's a third potential, but 2 policies canceled from last month. So there's a lot of policies I wrote to.
And if you look, I'm glad he asked that, because if you look at the demeanor and the way that Greg just approached me right there, because he wasn't like super freaking friendly. He was just really there to help, and he was assumptive. Like, I trust Greg more than the guy that comes in that is trying to be my best friend in 10 minutes. And then that's a different dynamic than what I expected when we did that right there. That I can tell you that. And so I think, I don't know, carry on with what I was saying there, Greg, but I could see why you get a lot of chargebacks. Like, you're all business, and dude, I could tell you care.
Yeah, and I do. And I care about the clients when I go in there, and I let them know, like, I'm here just to be the best possible option for you. There were people that I sat with, there were people with mortgage protection that they had like a trust set up, and they had like this and this and like all these things. And I'm like, dude, I don't know why you even asked for me to come over, because you have a lot in place. And 90% of the people I sit with have nothing. So like, you're in a really good place. And honestly, for what you're putting into and what you have in your investments and all this, like, you don't need this. And it's going to be exponentially expensive because you're 69 years old, and, you know, and getting a critical period coverage really doesn't make a lot of sense to you. And it didn't. And so I walked away from things. They're just like, because it just didn't make sense for their situation. That barely happened. But there are going to be times there's definitely times when I sat with people that just were financially wealthy, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And so I just told them, I was just very honest with them. So, but people respected that. And so, and I feel like when you go down the road like that, like when you always act in like good intentions, you get paid back. And so I didn't try to scam anybody. I wasn't doing anything like, no matter what, I'm getting somebody in the policy. Like, no, that my job's to help people and serve people. So, that's what I did. Arnita, you asked if they insist on giving them a quote over the phone and strongly object to you coming over. I would never give a quote over the phone, no matter, you could tell them it's $1 and they would be like, thanks, and hang up. So that was something I learned very early on. What I usually do is I would turn it around and ask a question and say, hey, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. But hey, I'm actually just a field underwriter. So let me ask you, what exactly are you looking for? And then they'd be like, oh, I'm looking for this. Okay, so are you looking to protect a mortgage? You're looking to cover burial. Oh, well, I want to protect this. Okay, hey, perfect. Hey, what kind of medications do you take? And ask them questions just to get them inversed in conversation. And then once I go through the conversation so much and I get them like kind of drawn and like engaged, then I'll say, hey, perfect. Hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take care of this really simply for you. I'm going to go ahead and bounce this information against all the carriers, because I have a bunch of carriers I work with, and I'm going to get all the information back from them. I'm going to get back from them all the carriers that say, hey, we think we can approve. I'm going to sift through them for you. I'm going to find the ones that say yes and the best possible price. I'm going to come drop them by and just drop them off to you. Take like 2 minutes. Okay. So Arnita, when do you walk in the door?
Nice.
And like, just like, I'm going to do this service for you. It'll be real quick. Then we can go ahead and sit down and if you have any questions, I'll be there in case you have any questions. Sound fair? And then they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. So yeah. I'd still like, instead of being, if you, anytime an objection is on the phone or in the home, you just agree. If you say, well, I can't do that, I can't give you a quote over the phone, then you're just a no person. If you're like, hey, I really want to quote, hey, perfect. That's exactly why I'm calling you. They're going to be like, oh, great. Exactly. Oh yeah. Okay. So let me ask you, perfect. That's exactly what I'm calling you. So let me ask you, hey, are you looking to protect a mortgage? Are you looking to protect some debt? Or you want to cover your burial? What were you looking for? How long have you been looking? Like you just trapped them, right. And you can just continue on that conversation. You can get a little bit of information on the phone, just enough to be dangerous, to be like, hey, look, you gave me a lot of information. Let me do my best to serve you. I want to do my homework. This takes a minute. It's not a quick. Right. Let me go and get some information for you. And then I'm going to come drop it. When you walk in the door, I want to come drop it off to you. I want to say hi. Let's have a cup of coffee. whatever it takes.
Well, that was really good. And so Matt asked, just to clarify, you're starting the app before you do the pricing. So you're doing.
Yes, I don't get the pricing, especially like on a final expense, Facebook, Internet Life Lead. I'm just going straight in the app.
Yeah.
I'm just going straight in the app.
And what was interesting in the beginning when we went through that, that would work on any type of lead. That would.
It would.
In an instant internet, it didn't matter. If I start talking about the mortgage, you talk. Oh, so what I'm hearing you say, Trey, is really interested in covering the mortgage. And if you can't cover the whole thing, it sounds like you're really interested in making sure that Dre isn't up on the street. She at least has time to sell the house. Like you could get all that stuff out of me in the conversation. That's
absolutely.
So here's what we're gonna do. I love that. How many pivots do you make if Americo doesn't work for the client?
Usually I'm only going to pivot twice if necessary. So after Americo, I usually pivot. Depends on if it's term or if it's final expense. If it's final expense and Americo says, no, I'm going to AMAM, doing a senior choice. If it's term and if they say no to that, then I'm going to AIG. Like if if both AMAM and Americo said no, very likely there's something there that they're not telling me, and they're both going to say no. But AMM, you don't find out till afterwards, and it can still go to underwriting. So it almost never happened that way. It just went to underwriting at the end, and I said, hey, I'm going to come back and let you know. If it is a term, usually I'm having a more kind of conversation like, hey, look, they came back, like, what's in your record? I got to know, because like it could be pain meds. And I'd be like, okay, well, pain meds are fine on Foresters. We're going to try Foresters or John Hancock or AMAM. So it just depends on what it is. It could have been diabetes. And maybe it's like, well, I started taking metformin when I was, 33. It's like, okay. So, well, America's going to say no, but Forester says yes. So I'm going to Foresters, and just understanding the underwriting piece from that, which there's the term grid sheet, there's the FEX grid sheet. You need to have that available, know it well enough that you can flex pretty quickly, or you can just refer to it while you're in the home. Like, oh, it's this. Oh man, I think that age for diabetes or metformin for America is going to kick it back. Boom, it does. Okay, well, I got to go to John Hancock or Foresters at that point. So.
Yeah. So what if like right off the bat that Americo's going to say no? Do you still run it through and have them say no, or?
No, waste of my time. I just, I still go into the application. 9 times out of 10, I'm still going to the application, and I'm still going through like the medical questions and everything, getting all their information and saying, oh, we're gonna do a quick check. And then I'm just like, hey, check came back. You're pre-approved. Yep. It was, go ahead and pick a plan. And then I'm typing in the amount, and when it gets to the, like if Forrester's, like you get through everything until the very end where you have to put in the amount of coverage and it tells you what that ends up being. Mm-hmm. I would do the same thing. Same thing with American Amicable. You just have to go to the first page to change it.
I get it. So you're the computer.
Yeah. So I'm just switching back and forth to 2 pages. Definitely. They have no idea what I'm doing.
Got it.
Matt Goodrich said, do you lead with term for older folks looking for mortgage section or go straight to Eagle? It depends on what you mean by older folks. Like I did some terms on people that were in their 70s that were like 72, 73. And I did an Americo term because it made sense for them. Like one guy was like, hey, I got this $100,000 term that keeps going up every year. And right now it was like $315. He's like, every year it's going up because he was past the term and it was now where it was universal, but it was going up every year. And so I was like, well, and I listened to what he said. I went over his medications. I was like, I can get you on a term that's going to be locked in for 15 years. And it was like 80,000 for the exact same price. So I was like, it's a little bit less, but it's locked in for the next 15 years. And I was like, so you're just getting less coverage. And then he wanted to get like 100,000. He wanted to replace that coverage. And he was like, yeah, I'm down with that. I'm like, yeah, that's good. But it was just that was like, I just told him, because I didn't give him a bunch of options, but he basically told me what he's looking for. And I was like, well, okay, well, I can do this. I already knew he's paying $300 a month. He said he was fine with that. I matched the same exact price, except now it's going to be locked in. It's going to be slightly less coverage. And he was like, yeah, let's see if we can get approved. All right, done. I'm like, quick application. I was in and out of that home in like 15 minutes. So a lot of things I also play by ear. Like I don't always do, like I have a structure where I do it almost all the time, but if somebody comes up, throws a curveball, I'm like, ooh, that's sail over here, done. Like but it's also reading people. When you do 100 appointments, run 100 appointments in a month, you start to like pick up on things. So,
well, man, we need to do a part 2 of this because it's been an hour and
yeah.
But man, this is super fluid, and I know there's probably a ton more questions, but I appreciate you jumping on. Thanks everybody for jumping on this. And if we don't continue this next week, we'll continue the week after, but we'll do part 2. And I'll go back through and read some of these questions and see if we can put them together for you. So, all right. Well, thanks for jumping on, everybody. This has been a good one. Thank you so much, Greg. This was awesome.
Thank you.
All right. You guys make it a great week. Let's break another record.